Busiest man in the game, kind enough to join us. Our man Chris Haynes, Bleacher Report, This League podcast, was catching up on the latest episode of your podcast with Mark Stein this morning, which we'll get to some of the topics there as we welcome Chris Haynes to the show. But before we do, speaking on the podcast, last time you and your lovely wife were with us, you were saying, we're going to do a live version of the podcast at Charlene's Beauty Supply in Elk Grove. And you've announced that podcast. Davion Mitchell is going to be your guest tomorrow.
Yeah, it's going to be our guest tomorrow. I'm excited about that. And it's going to be cool. It's going to be live at our store, Charlene's Beauty Supply store in Elk Grove. We're going to have about 40 to 50 seats. And if you want to be a part of the live audience, please, you can find the link to Cash App to pay for a ticket. Tickets are $50. It's really a gift certificate. So you can use that to purchase items in the store. And that will be your ticket in. And I'm gonna give a platform for you can have a Q&A session with Davion after the podcast and get a group picture. So it'll be a cool experience, cool environment. So please, tickets are running low. Please either go to the store, 8694 Elk Grove Boulevard in Elk Grove, or I have a Cash App in my IG link or in my Twitter link. I just tweeted about it recently, so you can get your ticket there. But it's gonna be a cool time, man. Davion Mitchell, man, that's dope. I appreciate him for making time to come out.
Probably pulled him out of the gym.
I know, right?
He's always in the gym. So I'm just gonna hold him for an hour. He can get back to it. I'll just ask for an hour of his time. We're good.
Chris, you know the game, even outside from reporter, man. You played it and everything else like that. What you think about Davion as a ball player? I know a lot of people have been kind of critical of him throughout the season last year because the numbers were down. I always equated that to the minutes being down, not necessarily the skills or the production. But me, myself, and Damian, we feel like Davion now with a year under his belt with Mike Brown and understanding what his role is on this team, I think he's the perfect backup point guard for this team. And I think he's going to be primed for a big year in his third season. What you think about Davion's career so far?
He's, arguably he's one of the best, is probably not the best one-on-one point guard defender we have in this league. I mean, he's just a physical guy, man. People don't like playing against him, period, because he's going to put his body on you, and he's somebody who's not slow-footed, so he can stay with you step by step, and at the same time, he's still putting a body on you that's wearing you down, depending on how long he gets to do that. But it definitely was a learning curve for him. It was a learning curve for him with Mike Brown. We kind of seen how his minutes fluctuated throughout the course of the season. But in the playoffs, he earned his keep. I remember when I was doing doing my TNT sideline duties for the Kings and the Warriors. I forgot what game it was, but we talked to Mike Brown before the game, and he was talking about how Davion has played so well defensively and giving them a spark. He said he's been thinking about drawing up plays for him to get him going offensively, to continue to encourage him to keep doing what he's doing defensively. So he's somebody that definitely, I think, at the latter part of that season kind of got more respect from Coach Mike Brown. And I think that can possibly carry over to the beginning of next season.
I want to point this out too, Chris, because you obviously been very busy today. We're entering, one of the busiest times of year for you. If one of those emails you're getting is from Dame, and you feel like you need to break news here on this show, by all means, we'll lay out and let you do what you got to do. You reported it earlier that Dame and we're having a meeting. So if there's anything you need to tell us, by all means, the floor is yours.
Listen, brother, I will say this. So the meeting is scheduled for 2:00 our time. So they are either still in this meeting, which I probably think they're still in the meeting, or they might just be finished. But if I got a call from Dame, I'll have to put you brothers on hold for 5 minutes. It'll be an abrupt hold. No disrespect. No disrespect.
No. Understandably, for sure. Absolutely. So, I mean, look, man, we got to ask you.
Jason Jones once put us on hold for the air conditioning guy that was outside.
Jason Jones, there's a lot that goes on the Jason Jones. Police sirens in the background, kids getting in trouble for not listening. It gets wild on the Jason Jones.
That's my dude. Hey, but that is very understandable. getting the AC, getting your AC unit fit. We was talking about that off air. My AC unit went down. My house is not even 2 years old yet, and I can't. You talking about you can't wait till the 300-degree weather get here. I can wait. Wait till my AC unit get back because that's no joke.
Give me a couple days to get everything situated before we get on that there.
Mm-hmm.
But yo, Chris, obviously the Dame thing is big. It feels like I don't want to say it's holding up the league because there's other moves being made, but that's one of the big shoes to drop. What they're gonna do with Dame. I thought with them drafting Scoot, and I actually thought they were gonna trade for Zion with that 3 pick, but them just going through with Scoot, getting Chris Murray and things of that nature. I thought it was kind of a sign that they're preparing for life after Dame this season. Not that maybe they don't trade him, but they have that in their back pocket. If they feel like they need to, they got Scoot, they got the youngsters. I feel like they're preparing for life after Dame. Did it signify the same things to you?
Yeah, definitely for sure. They don't want to go all out and call it a rebuild because they still want Dame to be a part of the roster, be a part of the team. But that's the conundrum because Dame wants veteran proven players. He wants another star with him. And going into the draft, the Blazers were adamant that they would look for opportunities to trade the number three pick to try to get help. So they did it. They drafted Scoot Henderson, was a rookie, good pick, but he plays the same position as Dame. So does Scoot and the two other rookies that they got, does that really help Dame for next season? I would say no. I don't think it really moves the needle as of right now. And so I think, when you look at the meeting that they're going to have, this is the most serious meeting, arguably the most serious meeting in Trailblazers history. Like we will know a lot more after this meeting. As far as like this, a decision will be made shortly after. The decision might be made during the meeting. But yeah, you talked about having a league on hold. There is a little bit of a holding pattern because look what the Miami Heat did. They pulled out of the Beal sweepstakes because they felt like there was an avenue to get Damian Lillard, who was their number one target. So, this is, like I said, I think this is the most serious meeting in Trailblazers history, and a decision will be made shortly after, or possibly even during the meeting.
Well, we've got our Chris Haynes notifications on for sure. You and Mark talked in great detail on the latest episode of the List League podcast about Sacramento. And it really, I take that back. He kind of centered around Draymond Green and the conversations about Draymond Green and what his options were. And then Sacramento played into it. And I'm curious what direction you think Sacramento might go over the course of the next what direction Sacramento will go when free agency starts on Friday.
Yeah, well, I think all signs point to Sabonis, giving Sabonis an extension. They're going to take care of Sabonis. I think that's obvious. There was always talk of securing the Harrison Barnes on a multi-year deal. I haven't heard anything as of late on that. I heard something on Harrison probably about 3-4 weeks ago. Yeah. I haven't heard that recently. So I don't know what's going on. I'm not saying that nothing is not anything. I'm not saying nothing is going to get done. And I'm not saying something is going to get done, but it's been quiet on that front. So we all seen they opened up cap space by unloading Holmes to Dallas, and so they can make a play. What I will say about Vivek, and I love Vivek, but Vivek is petty. He is petty. He will go after anything to do with the Warriors. He will try to attack and try to weaken that team over there. He wants the Kings to be the supreme team in the NBA of Northern California. And you saw what we did with Mike Brown. I remember a few years back when I used to cover the Warriors, how the Kings were one of the teams that were recruiting Andre Iguodala. And I remember it was a story. It was for ESPN back in the day, but it was a really good in-depth story on just how those free agent meetings are, how they're constructed, man. Like there's elaborate pitches. You know, the star players are there. All these promises. They're showing displays of the player hanging a poster hanging on the arena and stuff. Like they do all type of incredible stuff and just like try to wow you. And I go into detail on that story with Iguodala about like 5 different teams, and I went into detail on each team's pitch, what they promised, who was there, how long it went, and the Kings were one of them. And you know, Vivek is real innovative. He's a real innovative man. That's why, you know, he's an astute businessman. But I can see a scenario of which they would try to lure Draymond Green. And this is what I will say, and I can report this. Draymond and his agent, Rich Paul, they are open to taking meetings. And I think it's expected that Draymond resigns back with Golden State, but they are open to taking meetings. They are open to taking. So I would think if Sacramento reached out, they would grant the Kings a meeting, barring Draymond working something out expeditiously with the Warriors. So that's something to keep in mind.
Interesting.
Can I say real quick before you move on from that? You mentioned the Iguodala article on the podcast, and I pulled it up when I got home. It's not too difficult of a search. Andre Iguodala, Chris Haynes free agency is how I found it, but it's pretty dope. Like you talk about the Kings. Kings gave him like a Louis Vuitton, like Kenny's probably got like 10 of these, but it's an iPad with like a Louis Vuitton covering his name engraved on it. And Chris wrote about like Doug Christie was like the tour guide through the whole deal. It's pretty dope. Like it's a really cool look at free agency. I forgot
about all that. Yeah, I forgot about it.
It's good stuff.
I want to say, I don't know if it was included in the article. I may be stepping it out, but I want to say one of the teams, I don't know if it was Sacramento, but one of the teams said they offered like a helicopter. You get a helicopter ride back from the Bay Area to, like, if he wanted to stay in the Bay. Was that included in the story?
I don't think so.
That sounds
I feel like I would have remembered that.
Forget I said that then. It wasn't included in the story for a reason. Forget I said that.
We're striking that from the record. We're striking that from the record.
It's like 6 years old. It's fair.
Yeah, hey, let me just say that, you know, there's all these elaborate pitches that's thrown out at these meetings. And, you know, when you get word of some of the things that were said as a writer, you got to be like, you know what, man, this is not legal. You can't do this. This is not permitted. I'm not going to include this. so I might have been speaking on some off the record stuff. My bad. Erase that from the record.
It's gone.
It's stricken from the record. It is stricken from the record. It's good. So Chris, talk hoop with you, man. It ain't even about reporting. Just talking hoop with you here. I'm of the belief that Kyle Kuzma is a real target for the Kings. I think if they brought back Harrison Barnes, they'd be fringe contender status. Like, I think that highly of the group. I think Kuzma's a little better than Harrison. I think if they were to sign Kuzma, they would jump into one of those top 2 or 3 teams in the Western Conference to, you know, possibly get to the NBA Finals. Do you think the Kings are at that point where they're one move away, maybe a Kyle Kuzma away from being a contender, or do they still got a little more work to do to get to that level?
Contender, when you say contender, we're talking championship, correct?
Championship, can get to the NBA Finals. That's what I think about, a team that can get to the NBA Finals, which gives them
competing
a chance
with the
win.
Nuggets.
Yeah. Look, I mean, they had a really good run this past season. I mean, if they are, check this out. So the Warriors matchup, they gave them everything they had them on the ropes at one point. If they were matched up with anybody else, do you think they get past the first round if they matched up with anybody else aside from the Warriors?
That's one thing we talk a lot about with this conference is to me, part of the reason we feel the way we do about Sacramento is because I don't feel strongly about the conference. And I didn't feel strongly about the conference last year. So my answer to that was yes.
Yeah. I would tend to think so as well. So with that being said, I do think Kuzma is a better player than Harrison Barnes. But, you know, when I brought Kuzma up in my pod to Mark, he was like, well, Kuzma's not a good defensive player, and Mike Brown still loves players who give their all on both ends of the floor.
Mm-hmm.
But I think if they had a chance to get Kuzma, I don't see how you can pass that up. And I do think it makes them a step better. I don't know if that means they're championship level better. I don't know. But I don't think they were that far off in the Western Conference this year. This was the first year in a while that the Western Conference was just open. Like, I didn't pick, even though the Denver Nuggets were number one, I didn't pick them to win the championship.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't. And I didn't, going into next season as well, I think most people would probably say the Nuggets are the favorites just based off of it because they got continuity now. They know they've been there and done that. But just from a talent standpoint, I don't know that people will still say the Nuggets are number one. So it's still open. But it's going to be tough. I know for sure Mike Brown loves Harrison Barnes. Loves him for what he does, not only on the court, but probably most importantly, behind the scenes in the locker room. He's a professional. You bring Kuzma in, who is a professional, but Kuzma likes to do other things. He has another career out there. You know what I'm saying? Like he not to say it's a bad thing, but you know what you're going to get from Harrison. And so that's going to be a decision they'll have to make. Ultimately, a lot of times when teams get to a certain level and they want to take that next step, sometimes they have to mix it up and kind of, take somebody out who's a key popular guy within the locker room and mix it up. So
take some risks.
Take some risks. That might be what we see here.
Yeah, the Harrison thing is so fascinating because of everything you just said. He's consistent, right? He was an 82-game player last year. And we've gone through so many guys like during these different trades, and they say, well, this person only played 50 games. This person played this many games. This person played this many games. And you can find your faults in Harrison, but he was always there.
Yeah.
And what we can't figure out, because we're with you in the thought that the Domas, the renegotiate and extend is probably on the way. But if it's not Harrison and it's not Kyle Kuzma, because you talked about, you haven't heard anything on Harrison Barnes. I'm not going to speak out of pocket here. I don't think Harrison Barnes has heard anything in a few weeks either. So it feels like they had their eye on someone. We thought it was OG Anunoby, and now I think OG's going through some changes that may throw a little wrench in that. We can't figure out who it is.
Mm-hmm.
Like it feels like the league is buzzing a little bit about that draft day move in the cap space, but we can't figure out who it is.
Yeah, I mean, it could be OG still. The Raptors still aren't telling teams what they're going to do. Are they going in for full sale or they're staying put? So that they've been trying to figure that out about the Raptors for about a year already. Mm-hmm. And so that OG has been linked to Sacramento for a minute, and I wouldn't dismiss it. I think it's valid for sure, but I think it's still going to take some time. But the Kings have a plan. I don't know what it is. They have a plan. I think they're going to execute.
I can't wait to see what this is all about. I can't wait because I agree with you. I think Monty McNair moves in silence. We talked about this earlier, and not to go win horse on you guys, but they could have re-signed Harrison Barnes without doing the Rashawn Holmes move. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
they did that for a reason.
They took a stab. They checked in on Bradley Beal, and Bradley Beal would have been. And that's the one thing that's good about what the Kings are going through right now is that the perception of them is changing. Like Bradley Beal would have waived his no trade clause to come to Sacramento. The Wizards wanted Keegan Murray in the deal, and Sacramento wouldn't do it. So they're being aggressive out there. Like they understand that there's a window right now, and so they're trying to capitalize on it. So that's why I said, man, they got a plan. I think they're going to execute whatever that plan is. So I wouldn't sleep on them at all this offseason.
Who's better right now in your mind, or who will be better this season, I should say? Golden State or Phoenix?
Whew.
No, right?
Yeah. Exactly.
First of all, I don't know, but I'm going to go with Golden State because they've done it multiple times. You know, Phoenix, they have to figure things out, and they got to fill that roster out. You know, I reported today they're hosting free agent workouts Wednesday. The notable players, or a few of the notable players, are Stanley Johnson and Jabari Parker. So they got a lot of work to fill that roster out, and they have to fill the roster out with guys who are willing to take pay cuts. And a lot of times that's not that hard to do when you have stars in place already. But, you know, this free agent class is not the best. So, you know, we'll have to see what happens on that standpoint. But I got to go with the Warriors just because it's the same group and they have continuity there. And bringing in Chris Paul, that's going to be different. It's going to be a new wrinkle, but they still got the nucleus there in place.
No disrespect to those brothers, but free agent workouts, that's tough.
Man,
that's tough. That's like
Jabari
you're
been around in a while.
Yeah,
Stanley Johnson. Even though I never know why Stanley Johnson never worked in the NBA.
I know he contributes wherever he goes. Yeah.
He had some really good moments. I was talking about earlier, really good moments with the Lakers. I thought the Lakers would just kept him there, kept him home for a little while, but they moved on from him. So I don't know. Maybe Phoenix will be forced to finally give him a real shot and an extended look because of, you know, just trying to build a roster.
Yeah. They're looking for dogs, looking for some dogs, 3D guys that can just play a complementary role. So they're going that route, and, you know, they'll see what they have in the free agency market as well.
Chris, we know how busy you are between the air conditioning and the pool and the live podcast tomorrow at Charlene's with Davion Mitchell, and of course free agency week, man. We appreciate you carving out some time for us, my brother. Thank you.
All right, appreciate you, brothers. Y'all take care.